should C and C++ be simplified in the future, or is that just the nature of technology advancing and language advancements and so on?
Yeah, you heard my conclusion. You can't simplify the language because people want a simpler language with just 2 more features, and whatever you do, don't break my code. And this is impossible. And so we're not going to simplify by making breaking changes. We can't afford that. That's just the way you destroy a user population. On the other hand, we want simplicity, and you've heard my way out of this dilemma. Coding guidelines, better teaching, tool support, like static analysis. And I hate to see the C/C++. There's no such language. The other thing is that the platforms are getting more complicated faster than languages. And that's one of the drivers. Like, we need to deal with hardware really well, but the hardware is getting weirder and weirder because single processor performance is going down. And so we need to deal with caches and multi-threads, multi-core, virtual, this, that, and other, NUMA architectures, all of this kind of stuff. We have to address it. So C++ will get steadily bigger and more complicated in totality, but nobody uses the totality. We have to focus on how to use it with the appropriate amount of complexity for the particular problems that we're facing.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize that phone.
And by the way, this is nothing specifically to do with C++. All languages start out simple, and then they grow in complexity and power. I mean, Java was pathetic when it came out, and it is far less pathetic now. It's also 3 to 4 times bigger.
Yep, and the libraries, the number of APIs.
Yep. The world is more complicated, and it's getting relatively more complicated than the language and the core libraries.
Well, I think before the multi-cores, and you were doing some. I guess that at Texas A&M, there's still the parallel programming research group, right? And
it's mostly dissolved. The key people are moving to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign just now, and the rest of us are scattered. There's me in Manhattan. Gabby does Reyes, who's a part of a lot of this stuff, is at Microsoft. The fundamental data structures on the modules was something Gabby and I did in Texas, and he did it at Microsoft. He's also involved in the compile time computation, const Bixler and such is him and me again, and so we're scattered.
Yeah, and when I look,
our ideas scattered with us.
That's even better. Everyone can infect whole other groups of researchers and students and graduate students and developers. When I was thinking about some aspects of, if we go back to register variables back in C, that hardware implications or architecture implications of what goes on, parallel programming, as you talked about networking and the architectures that we deal with, these vast networks and so on, I think you're right to say that as hardware, software architectures and other things continue on, the language and libraries and supporting systems, tooling and so on are going to have to continue to evolve over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, distributed computing was my PhD topic, so I've always been in that field. Before that was machine architecture.
So I remember many years ago, we were on a panel, I think it was at software development, and there was this guy that was a Smalltalk person, and Smalltalk could do everything, but I think the conversation that we had was about, when is it time to have a standard versus work on something inside of one company and leave it in there? And you mentioned you need enough people who are using the language, enough tools where people are building tools for the language and so on. And now there's ISO CPP, and we said that would go along for some time.